Welcome back to part 5 of the NTT Cybersecurity Talks here at the NTT University in Berlin. We're covering in number 5 today, modern security awareness and incident response. What does it mean in reality? And I'd like to welcome 3 guests again here. First of all, Sina Herbert joined me here. She's a security expert on incident response and also has the best ideas while doing mountain biking. And then we have Pierre-Yves Popin, a seasoned cybersecurity expert who knows, his own statement, everything about cybersecurity. And last but not least, Johannes Drooghaag, who is the founder and CEO of Spearhead Consulting, and on top of that, social media expert and a top photograph. So let's discuss a little bit cybersecurity awareness and incident response. We see a lot of incidents happen still today, and companies sometimes seem to be not well prepared to the incident at the end, and the incident handling, they struggle with that. You see that day to day. What is your experience?
Yes, we see that day to day. We have a lot of customers who are not prepared because they are may in the old fashion of being secured to maybe only having firewalls in place in the network infrastructure stream. So nowadays it's more like to catching up with the cyber resilient, and the customer should know how they have to prepare, and also knowing that they can be affecting the network, and they should have incident response plans in place in order to know how they should act.
And you don't see that acting right now?
We have really only a few customers who really are prepared and who also having incident response plans. They have playbooks in place, they have kind of an orchestration tool in order to process their incidents, and also following some playbooks what they have to do. But it's not the case for all of the customers.
Johannes, do you see the same in your experience?
I see that in too many occasions, in too many companies, which are starting to think about how to deal with it when it happens and not before. I want to quote President Kennedy, who said the best time to repair the roof is when the sun is shining. And we start to look at the leakages in the roof when it's raining. And therefore, when the incident happens, you don't have time to think about what is the best strategy. When should I inform the customer? When should I inform the press? When should I get an expert in? When do I identify that I cannot handle it anymore? You don't do that when you're under the stress. So I see the same.
Yeah, we also see that a lot of customers, when they are asking us to help them out, it takes a long time to really get in a contract with us. We had a customer which takes 4 months in order to do an analysis on that infrastructure. So yeah, you lose a lot of time, you lose a lot of log files, and yeah, a lot of evidence which can be solved at the beginning, but not after maybe 4 months.
Exactly.
The problem is that this we can lose and we can resolve the issue very quickly if the customer is ready to exactly know what he should do in the first step of an incident. And without this plan, we lose 1 day, 1 week, sometimes 1 month before making something. And it is a very pity in that case.
So, but if that's common knowledge, I would say, you're all experts in cybersecurity, why the companies are not responding? Do they still think, oh, it will not impact me, and maybe it will be my neighbor, let's put it that way? Or what's the reason for that?
What I see a lot is that companies and the decision makers in the companies and the policy makers are not yet aware that it will happen.
Yeah.
It will happen that you become a victim of whatever cyber incident. As soon as you accept that, then you start planning for that moment to happen. When you think it will be somebody else, or when you think, oh, it's not me, I'm not important, I don't have, you're not planning for it, you're not preparing for it. That's an awareness issue, that's an acceptance issue.
Even in case where there is some incident on customer side, the customer don't take the result of this incident, and they don't make the plan, and they don't react. They just manage this incident, but they don't make anything more in order to manage another incident.
Yeah, they should learn about lessons learned and so on in order to prepare for the next time.
But that means, again, people have to have a breach first and render the response instead of moving into a proactive mode. And I agree with your statements here, because I saw it quite often that customers have not even prepared a proper communication plan for an incident, etc. So they are still caught by surprise. And I think the combination of awareness and incident response is an interesting aspect in that discussion. And awareness from the management down to the ground level is an important point for an incident response. You jump on that already.
Yeah, exactly. So, because this is exactly that. An incident, security incident is not an IT incident. It's an enterprise incident, and every user in the company should be involved on that, and they should be trained. They should know exactly what to do at the beginning. Because if everybody is involved in that process, we will earn time and we will manage the incident very quickly. That's why awareness is very important.
From your experience, are the people aware of the incident response plans? Because a lot of things can be written down and no one knows about it.
Yeah, that's a common thing, that maybe something is already prepared, but the people or the employees didn't know about. And also they have to have contacts to other organizations, other departments in that organization. For example, human resource, the legal department, and so on. And so sometimes they do not really have interfaces to that department. So it's they have to figure it out, and mostly during the incident.
Okay.
So which takes a lot of time.
You see that as well?
You know, what I also see in addition to that is that when there is a plan, it's more about responsibility and less about responding. And that makes it more complicated for the people to actually understand what they are supposed to do. So we can make it, we should transfer it much more to what do we expect from the employees and the people in the organization to do? How should they respond? And less, sign here, you are now informed, and you're liable for what you do.
That's why what we are trying to do with our customer is to change the way we train them. The goal is not to say you should do that or not do that. The problem is more to play a game with them in order to play a security incident, to see exactly what I should do in case of security incident. And that's why we saw the awareness part is moving in another way to assist our customer.
Yeah, in the way to do a proactive incident response in order to help the customer to deploy the process and so on, so that they should know what to do.
We talk more about kind of escape game for train people to make some awareness with our customer, and it's a kind of game now, and not only following some presentation on awareness. So it's a new way to.
I watched this 15 minutes video. Right, that's not what you want. You want a gamification. You want to involve people. You want them to understand something and then show that they can actually use it in daily practice, and then they can learn from the little mistakes they make or the mistake that others make. Or you can learn, because you can then learn, hey, 80% is responding to this particular thing and not to the others. Maybe you have a challenge there. That's the way to move it forward and move away from signing that you saw this 20-minute video.
Yeah.
Right?
I think the incident response is one aspect on that, and we have proof points that what you said is absolutely right. In our studies, we see that a lot of people have defined procedures, 50%, let's say, but only 25% have at the end read it, and only half of them have understood them. So I think what you said is in line with the patterns we see normally here. But you touched a good point here when you said we have to move away from the traditional way to look at a video. I think awareness is from my perspective, most companies do it in an old-fashioned way. You look at a video, you do a WebEx, you do a test at the end, and you're out. That's a once-a-year event. It's not an awareness program. It's let's call it, I have to do it. You said gamification. I like the idea of combining gamification with awareness. Have you any experience in that area? Johannes, you raised that because...
We did a couple of tests with it by really doing a gamification. There are two solution providers who are building games out of training material, and it works really cool because what you see is that people come back to the mistakes they make. And you don't see that if it's just a compliance thing.
Yeah.
If you have to once a year put everybody in the HR file that they did this training, as soon as they hit the 70% or 80%, whatever is set as the minimum, it's fine, they forget about it.
Yeah.
And now, with the gamification, you see them coming back and you can do wonderful things like putting the top 3 weekly score,
Yeah.
right? And you can say, this person has 5 times in a row been in the top 10, you're one of our winners. You can do fun thing about it.
Without blaming the others, just highlighting the successful.
Positive.
Yeah.
But
positive
it
part.
allows also the other to become better and to try to be the first one in the game.
Exactly. And then you get interesting stuff because you see that people start responding to what wasn't part of the game. Hey, now they pay attention. Because now they call the IT department and say, I found a very suspicious attachment, guys. And the IT department looks at it and either says, that's nothing to worry about, or, ooh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And that's the goal. That's all of us, right?
Yeah.
So, having touched a little bit the topics on incident and awareness, I think we are moving into the next generation of awareness and incident response now. And as a takeaway for our audience, do you have one recommendation, one single statement you would make and say, okay, if you want to move to the next maturity level, that's what I would recommend. Zina, what would be your single statement on that?
Yeah, it would be, be prepared for a security incident.
Okay.
Involve all the users of your company.
It's all of us.
It's all,
It is
that's
all of us.
a super end here.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for the discussion, a lot of good insights and good ideas. Thank you very much. This was part 5 of the NTT Security Cyber Talks here in Berlin. And thanks to my guest, thanks for listening, and see you soon. Bye.